hello, Fierce Factor. Welcome back to this impromptu episode. We just got done. I'm here with my two Shannons on my team. Hi, Shannons.
Hi. Hello.
And we just got finished filming some content today. We're in Newport Beach, and I have a love-hate relationship with content filming. And hey, if you know, you know. So I'm constantly trying to think of ways to best leverage time. And once I finally get rolling, I get really excited about talking. And one thing as you know, I love to do is talk off script, which I don't get a lot of opportunity to do when I'm filming videos. So I thought it would be fun for us today to talk about an important topic, and that is about how we can help support female entrepreneurs and leaders in our industry in aesthetics and wellness through our flagship program, Pop Leadership Academy. And I don't talk a lot about the most important pipeline of access that women have to the best resource there is in our industry, because I am so focused usually on this podcast and in other formats on educating, and I'm really trying to give, quick bite-sized little pieces of information. So I'm hopeful that this next 20 minutes or so, I can answer some commonly asked questions about the Academy, and talk a little bit more about why this program was designed the way it has been designed, and how we can hopefully help you to become a part of our Pop Leadership Academy family as well. So I guess I'll just welcome the Shannons, and I'll turn it over to you guys to maybe ask some questions that I can answer. Based on, from your perspective, what are some of the most commonly asked questions that we get about working with us in the Leadership Academy?
Well, one question I see all the time, just through managing the social media and seeing what comes in and what people are asking. But I think one thing is, what is the best way for someone to have consistent access to you as a resource? So like the first thing that you would recommend for someone who's interested in working with you.
And working with me personally, you mean? Or with our company?
With your company.
With our company. Okay, sure. The first stop is Fierce Factor podcast, but hopefully you're here, unless you're seeing a clip on social media about the podcast, in which case go listen. That's a great question, because I think a lot of times when we're providing coaching services, so questions that come to mind are, how do I just kind of dabble? Like, how do I know that working with you is the right fit, and that making a commitment to investing in a more formal experience of growth with your company is going to be right for me? And so I think that it's a really important question to ask. The way that we've designed the Academy is to help you basically build a business that eventually your grandma can run. And so many of the other programming pieces that we put in place are to support, one, making sure that that's the kind of company you want to build, and that we're going to be the right fit together. Two, getting to know a little bit more about our philosophies and approach to achieving that goal. And three, are we ready, willing, and able to make that investment into coaching? So some of the resources we put in place would be, one, obviously the Fierce Factor podcast, like I mentioned. Two, the Diary of a Female Entrepreneur, which is my brand new ebook. Actually, it's a year in the making, so it feels so silly to call it brand new, but we're just launching it really post-alt. And I developed that as a 45-page, soul-led, from the heart experience of a monologue, essentially, of what it's been like for me building my company, and some of the things that I probably did speak to my diary about, some of the entries that I put in there about just like the nuances of team building and frustrations of challenges and obstacles that I had to overcome that I didn't anticipate. A lot of the mindset shifts I had to make, and a lot of exploring about myself as an entrepreneur. And then it's in that is woven really practical case studies and experiences that women we've worked with have struggled through, I'll say, to achieve the certain levels of success that they have, enviable levels of success. But as I've talked about a lot, I don't think success, it's a byproduct. Success is a byproduct of a journey of growth that is fed by failures and overcoming those failures and adversity. So that'd be the next place to go. And then from there, we have a series of master classes, which we call the Happy Hour Masterclass Bundle. And the reason why it's called that was I love to go to happy hour. I like the idea of like being able to sample a few, like a wine flight, or I'll go have a few different apps with my friends so I can try different things. And I like that experience. And I started to think about, what if we could give our prospective clients and women that we were coaching just a little sample flavor of what could be available to them, like quick hit, really like best dishes, like best, most high impact, get a punch, for your money. And so what we did was put together a little bundle of 4 different master classes that match some of the bigger concepts underpinning the work that we do in our academy. So everything from branding to hiring and team building to what else is in there, Shan? I'm trying to think of what else.
Proprietary aesthetic method.
That's right, building your proprietary aesthetic method, and just developing culture, team culture. And so many of them are like 90-minute master classes with a resource guide, and it's something you could sit down and just get really high impact, build yourself $1 million business strategy with the work that you do and you put in. And then with that program is also an offer to have a coaching call to help just sort of set the stage and get you on the right track. Certainly not a replacement for investing in coaching for yourself, but it's something that we put together that I'm really proud of, for under $1,000, that someone could have access to, just the brilliance of the KLC team and resources. And then ultimately we have, there's the Alt Experience, which is our live event, annual live event that we've had one. So next year, we're setting the date for the next one, hopefully coming up in May-ish, April, maybe end of April. We're still getting that dialed in next year. And that's where we bring a room full of women together to talk about the real struggles of entrepreneurship, and then practical solutions and best practices for building multi-million-dollar businesses. So it's just, an epic experience, and there's other podcasts on that itself. And then ultimately, our flagship program is where we lead all of our women through, which is a 1-year-long business incubator.
Well, I'd like to hear a little bit more, Kaeli, about if I'm coming into looking for help on how to grow my business, how to scale my business, how to interview people, when is the right time for me to do that?
Yesterday. No, seriously. So I think that's important to recognize when you're thinking about getting coaching. And I know myself, my first coaching experience was a $10,000 investment into Tony Robbins' Business Mastery. And I was at that point where I was like, I just know I need something. I have no idea what it is, but like, I want that like momentum. Like I want that energy to light the fire under me. Like I'm ready, And so that was a great experience for that. And then I started hiring coaches for different reasons. So consulting on different pieces of my business, getting online program, learning how to run an online business. I hired somebody to do that. I hired somebody to help me through the deep inner work of transforming into putting on the mindset of a CEO. And then I've worked with higher level business strategists who've helped me think about business modeling and future visionary structure of the company and where we're going and what's the end game for it. And the truth is that what we've built is really based on, I think, combining all of those experiences that I've learned into what if there was one really powerful program that could work as a consulting resource, but also as an accountability coaching partner to help guide you through that process. Because ultimately, you can get all the tactics, you can watch YouTube videos all day long. Heck, you could listen to 220 Fierce Factor podcast episodes and get a lot of inspiration and a lot of knowledge. But it is the act of putting those pieces, those tactics in place, and then essentially failing at them or trying it and maybe it works a certain way or doesn't work, and then how do you recover from that, and how do you pivot, and how do you grow through that? And I think the most valuable piece to managing your mind is putting yourself in a room around other women who are 3 steps ahead of you. And so what's really great about this academy is that whether you're, I'm a year in my business and really want to build something impactful and significant, or if you're 6 years, 7 years, 8 years in plus, and you're looking to continue to scale and ultimately build your legacy, there's a place for you in this room. And the way that we've designed the academy is to provide you the tools and resources that you need at that point in time. So I think, to answer your question, and maybe you tell me if you agree with this, because I've heard you answer this question a certain way too, is that I think that if you're seriously thinking about building a real company and you want to hire people and have a team who will ultimately become the company for you so that you can build something that is an asset for you, that you get to enjoy and not be the business, the sooner the better.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think what comes to mind for me, and something I hear so much about when we're talking to women and bringing them into the program, is, maybe I should wait until this happens, or maybe I should wait until that happens, or I don't know if I'm quite ready for this yet. But I feel like I'm wearing all the hats in my business, I'm doing all the things, and I just need help with finding focus and direction and going down that path, and to have a place where I think what makes our company so unique and the academy so unique is you're not, and what I say a lot is, you're not just getting access to our expert team who has experience in so many different facets of running a business, practice management, pivoting, dealing with team members, dealing with hiring, but also colleagues from around the country who, something you say a lot, Kaeli, is slaying the same dragons that you are, and hearing their perspectives and getting their insights, like you mentioned, from people who have been around for 10 years, people who have experienced things in so many different ways, and to be able to go to a place and have access to a community of people who see this as a safe place to share and really believe in our philosophy of when the tide rises, all the boats rise, and just seeing it as an uplifting place of women who are going to support you in your goals as well.
Yeah, beautifully said. I love it. Good answer. No, absolutely. I think that I look at it like this. If you're asking yourself, or you hear yourself saying, when this happens, then I will. Well, why hasn't that happened yet? And so I think what happens is we want to fix the problem, but the real problem is we aren't resourced with what we need to fix the problem. Does that make sense? That might sound a little woo, but that is what ultimately our goal is, to help you get to that point. So you use the example of, I'm wearing a million hats, I'm working so much in my business, I don't have time to invest in leadership coaching, right? But the reality is, you can't work your way into more time. You have to create an ecosystem, an environment to support you so that you learn how to use the time to make time, if that makes sense. So it's one of those, we see again and again and again women who are waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and come back a year later and more dysfunction is going on. They're scaling up complexities, and they come back and say, I wish I would have signed up a year ago. And we talk about this as a team routinely. And that's just because we get in our own way. We're in our head, and we're making decisions out of a lack mindset, out of scarcity, out of fear, out of anxiety. We're leading our decision-making process with that mindset versus an empowered mindset of, what if everything worked out? What would I be able to accomplish if I had the capacity for it? And when you put your mind there and you really start thinking about what's possible for yourself, and then you work with somebody that's going to help you build that process so that you can trust that space, magical things happen. So it's a legitimate feeling, but that feeling of when, if that's an excuse that you need help figuring out how to combat by resourcing yourself with the tools to make that vision a reality.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of on the lines of objections, if you will, like I'll wait until XYZ happens. Talk to me a little bit about some of the other things you hear when on discovery calls and talking to women about how we can best support them in reaching their goals.
Yeah, that's the main one. Time, I think, is the biggest objection. I also think there's what we do as consumers is we try to find the least risky, like best next step or whatever. And so it's sort of this shop around where it's like, oh, I'll try this first and then come here. So there's some of that. I think that there's a lot of confusion around what coaching is and who's a coach. So there's a lot of, we have clients who we've helped them build their own business academies as an example. And I think it's really powerful to have a mentor and learn from somebody who's done what you've done. But the difference between investing in something like that and working with a coach whose job expertise is putting in tens or hundreds of thousands of hours of coaching is a night and day different kind of experience. Our job as coaches on this team and why I have made the biggest investment in this company into hiring the best people is that it is a very, very unique and important skill to be able to empower somebody to believe in themselves, to make their own decisions and to resource insights that they have, their own wisdom, essentially to navigate through all the seasons of growth, through all of the phases and stages of their business. So there's just naturally kind of not knowing really where to go and trusting that this is a big step. Our academy commitment is 1 year. Why do we make it a year? Listen, I mean, if you're not building a business, in which case you see a year from now I'm going to need really great support, then I'm not sure you're really ready for what we have to bring to help you build. But the women who come to work with us, they're in it for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, they're renewing, they're constantly growing alongside of us, alongside of other colleagues. So I think that, yeah, natural objection, but also, again, coming from do I feel aligned with these philosophies? I see the proven track record of success. And so how can I get myself mentally to a point where I can believe that when I make this investment in myself, I will make it worth it? And that takes coaching in many cases as well. Other objections, would be just, I think, the economy, what's going to happen if not sure where to invest right now, and spend my money where there's some uncertainty around the climate that's happening economically. It's an election year, things like that. And so that's natural. We all think, oh, what's going to happen? There's always going to be uncertainty. There's also things that happen that we can't expect. COVID happened, right? And so how do we prepare ourselves for seasonalities indefinitely? How do we help our clients prepare to build a business that can withstand that? It's not sitting on the sideline when we're worried about what's going to happen. It's diving headfirst into, I always say, like, the best way around something is through something, right? So it's diving in to say, like, I'm going to build something and do the work where it matters, so that if that does happen, there are fluctuations, I have built a rock solid business that can withstand that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe this is an objection too, I don't know. But you mentioned that a lot of the women in the academy have been there for 3, 4, 5 years, which I can say because I've been working with you for 3.5, 4 years now almost. And there are women who were there when I started who are still in the academy. And I'm curious, maybe I can combine these as one question, but one, do you ever have women who want to work with you but who have had poor experiences with other coaches in the industry that then has them hesitate with wanting to invest in that financially again? And if so, for the women who have been with you for so long, I'm curious to know what their feedback is on why working with you guys was different and like what had them stay around for so long.
Okay, so the first question to working with other consultants and coaches. So I think it's important to recognize that there's something to take from everybody. I don't think that we're like, the end all be all for everybody, forever, for everything, for every, right? There's the same reason I've worked with different kinds of coaches and consultants. So I think that let's hold some space to say like, hey, we're going to be really specific about how we can help you scale and achieve your goals here in this specific area. And we're also going to recommend and suggest other support systems for you that may not be within our main core competency. So there's that. To more specific to the question of how do people come to you when they're nervous because they've had a bad experience? Certainly, yes. I actually prefer that, to be honest. We asked that question in our initial application process because I want to be kind of the last stop in the sense that I know what I don't want, so I recognize what excellence is because I know what we bring to the table. So I think number one, it's important that, look, okay, I've tried that and now I know I can really go all in because this is exactly what's going to be the right fit for me. And the second piece to that is I'm evaluating their decision-making processes. When somebody comes and applies to work with us and they're talking about bad experiences they've had in the past, there's an approach to which they are taking action in their business and making decisions in their business that is revealed to me. So what's the process by which you chose and selected and got yourself into a bad situation, and are you taking accountability for that or not? And that's important for us to know before we engage in a relationship and a partnership with somebody to help one, know where our launching point is with them, and also to make sure that they have the right mindset about growth and where their potential is to head versus trying to not take accountability and blame other people for the bad past experiences that they've had.
I know you're saying you don't want to be like the only last like end all be all, but there are women who I've seen who like are just with you for a really long time, and I think that there's a lot to be said about that.
We are open and ready, willing, able, and equipped to help you resource yourself with all of the things that you need to grow your business is sort of where I was trying to go from there, and that we've personally vetted who's the best to help you. And because I think I spent a lot of time in the beginning building my business, like trying, like, okay, do you know anybody who does whatever, call it Facebook ads, right? And like, it's like now you go through 5 bad eggs before you get the good one. Wouldn't it be nice to just know like, okay, I have a strategic growth advisor that like really has proven, vetted, trusted partnerships with people who can help me. So I think that part's important. I think that is one of the reasons women stay with us for so long. I also think the biggest reason is that the way that we built the model is by different levels within our academy. So there's an entry level, in which case our goal is to help you build your business, build infrastructure, set up the systems, the operational systems, build a business your grandma can run, hire your team, learn how to create accountabilities and structure within your organization. And then the next level is investing in the team, building the team and leaders in your team who then can run that business. It's a different set of skills. And then ultimately, we're helping women who have built a great business that are scaling up, multiple locations potentially, or one really amazing flagship location with team members who are looking to then build this cash cow business that's an asset for them and want to branch out into making other investments, maybe getting into real estate, maybe getting into digital products, training academies, et cetera. And their goal is to get on stage, build recognition and visibility for their brand, and build something that has an overarching, bigger umbrella. We have our client, Blair Hayes in Charlotte, who is building, she has Blair Skincare, she'll have Blair Home Care, Blair, right? Like all of the things. Like she's building something that is way, way bigger than her injectable business. And so our goal is to take you from the point of, okay, I'm just sort of trying to figure out how to build this thing, to, wow, I have a great team, they're running it for me, to what can I really do in the world now? And for them to resource themselves with people who believe more in them than they do in themselves. There's something really powerful about that. So why wouldn't you keep coming back for more of that?
Yeah, and I think to speak to that a little bit too, when I hear people ask, I'm part of that process, and I'll get questions like, well, and what happens after the year? Like, does it just end then, or do I keep going? And it's, I share the same thing, that we have women who've been with us since the beginning. And Kaeli, you've used this example a lot, like multiple people all the time read the same book multiple times because you absorb it differently based on where you are in life. So same way in this, you're absorbing what we're teaching you and what you're learning. Your takeaways might be different based on where you're at, what your past experiences have been. And one of our clients even shared this, Sarah Trammell in Abilene, shared that, I remember going through this session once before, but compared to where I'm at in my business now, it hit me so much differently. Right. Because I'm in a different place in my business, so it means something different to me.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking about just like our kids, in high school, right? We both have high school boys, and that they need context. Like, you need context around like what is biology and like what are organisms and why are we all here on Earth? And then you dive deeper and deeper and deeper into those core concepts. But those core concepts are so much more difficult to learn if you don't have the context around them. So the idea is letting them see what a successful business ecosystem looks like from a brand strategy standpoint, high level marketing, building a business that is operationalized, being a great leader of that, like understanding those bigger concepts and then being able to drill down with them to the nuts and bolts, right? Where now you're at a place, when you came in, I remember like even just launching the Diary of a Female Entrepreneur, and there's a blurb in there about our client Jessica Christie in Michigan, and she sent me a screenshot. She was reading it, and she said, I used to have all of these challenges, which were working too much in my business. I had imposter syndrome. I was worried about what people thought about me, like those main core challenges. I'm not clear about the vision of my company. And she's like, I don't have any of those anymore. And imagine coming into an experience where you're like almost, I don't want to say drowning, but where you're not really sure. There's so much to do, there's so many things. How do you know where to start? How do you know, right? Like, imagine if you had somebody that could just come along shoulder to shoulder with you and walk you through that process step by step, where you didn't have to worry about it. You just have to show up and trust the process, and it's all going to happen for you, where you get to that point of now being at a place where I didn't think I was even capable of managing a business. I didn't even think I was capable of leading a team of people who would be inspired and want to work for me. And then you finally are, now what? And that's where you're like going back and rereading that book again, because you've become a different person. And ultimately that is the gift, the beautiful gift of entrepreneurship, is about who you become through that journey, and how you get to grow into becoming that woman who's capable of leading that vision at the end of the day.
Can you talk through a little bit of some of the things that clients have shared with you about their biggest takeaways from being in the academy and things of that
I was hoping you would ask that. And it's important because I think we all know what pain we have, but like, how do you know your pain's going to be solved, right? So biggest takeaways are transitioning out of provider to CEO, like really learning how, as I scale up, I'm afraid to pull myself back because I'm the earner in the business. So how do I staff a team that can be as productive as me and more productive ultimately? So that's one of the biggest challenges. And I think that's really where we specialize in this industry from a positioning standpoint better than anybody I can think of, is helping women through that inflection point. I think other big takeaways are just feeling empowered and confident as business owners. Like, a lot of times women will come in and say, I don't know anything about business. I'm just an injector. I'm just a medical provider. And truly it's just a new skill. So we use the analogy of dribbling with the right hand and learning how to dribble with the left, and learning those new skills and then feeling really confident about that. Certainly a number one huge byproduct is just growth, right? So learning how to grow a business sustainably. We have Heidi Hermel is an example of a client of ours in Minnesota who, when she started working with us, was generating $600,000 a year in annual revenue for her business, which was incredible. I remember having calls with her. It was like her, basically, she had one person working at the front desk, and he would not show up sometimes. And so I remember having coaching calls, and she's actually sitting at the front desk, like answering the phone as she's talking to me. Talk about getting in and freaking killing it early. I mean, and this guy like ended up stealing the company car, and it was chaos. I mean, so much chaos ensues in building an incredible business. But she focused on building team, bringing great management in, just working our system. Now, she thinks she's in year 4 with us, and she's generating $600,000 plus a month. And so she's just built a really incredible business in which she loves now working on her business. That's her favorite part of, like, you know, obviously she's a great provider, but she loves leading and developing and mentoring people who are helping her business thrive. I think falling back in love with your business. You know, we have women who are like, my hair's on fire. I mean, in tears, routinely in tears. I don't know how I'm going to get control. I feel resentful. I don't know what I built. I can't keep people around. What's wrong with me? To a point of just really loving what they have and showing up every day, feeling well-directioned, well-rested, clear, and focused on possibilities for the future. I think those are some of the main ones.
What's the next step from here for someone who's interested in having that conversation of getting started with this kind of support? What steps should they take?
Yeah, so I think for sure, if this is even resonating a little with you and you're at any stage here, it would be to just book a no pressure call with our team to talk about where you are and what your goals are. Our goal is to make sure that we're aligned and the right fit for each other. Ultimately, our success is your success. I think that's the beauty of if you don't get to the end of the year working with us and say that was life-changing for me, then we haven't done our job. But part of that is making sure that we can take you through that process, that you have the right mindset, you have the right tools, to start with, so that we can guide you there. And I think just getting to know each other. So booking a call, and then we have a forum. You just sort of apply and answer a few questions so we can see what stage of business you're in, and then help get you set on the right path. And if the academy's not right for you yet, then we'll guide you towards some of the other resources that we have, or maybe if we have other coaching workshops and things that we have spontaneously coming up, we can help guide you there, and then just open a line of personal connection between you and us so that we help you get to that point where you're really ready, willing, and able to make that investment into working with us in the academy. And you can let the people know where to go for that.
You can navigate to our website, which is klcconsultants.com, and you will locate the Contact Us form and fill out your application there. And one final question I have for you, Kaeli, would be, what would be your advice for someone who is feeling in their gut, like, I know I need to take this step, I know this is the right next step for me in my business, and getting closer to my goal of living and growing a life first business? What would you say to someone who is fearful and just needs a little extra boost of encouragement?
Yeah, well, I would say get out of your head. But trust your gut. Like, if you know what you need, what's holding you back, and if it's fear, are you going to build a business and make decisions from a place of fear? Or are you going to equip yourself with the support to help you build a business that allows you, or help you build tools and resources around you so that you can make empowered decisions about building your business than from a place of fear? I think that's goes back to the let's wait until, right? I think it's going through head on, and entrusting and believing in yourself. Building a business is all about taking risks with no guarantee of return, but it starts with you believing that you're capable of doing it and surrounding yourself with people who remind you of that would be the first step.
Love it.
All right. Well, thanks, ladies. And then I guess I'll just wrap up by saying any other questions I didn't answer about the Academy, please reach out to us, book a call. You can also send me a DM about the Academy specifically or other questions that you have. I personally, yes, but I personally do respond to all of the messages there. So thank you, ladies, for your time and for the interview. Of course, I love talking about this, my favorite topic.
So fun. Thank you.
Okay, take care.